privileged to work in teams and use Google technologies to solve one or more of the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Our speaker for today, Abhinav Jain, will be sharing his experience and valuable tips. You will be gaining insights from someone who has excelled in this competition and secured a place in the top 100 globally during the Solution Challenge of 2022. He is a bachelor student at IIT Madras. So without further ado, I invite him to proceed with this session.
Hi, you guys will have to tell me if I'm visible and if I'm audible.
Yes, Abhinav, you
Yes,
are
sir.
visible and
Okay,
audible.
okay, great, great. So thank you, Mahin. Thank you, Abdul, for your introductions. This will be a quick session. I've been a part of many such sessions for GDSC and elsewhere, so I know how much attention span we have. First of all, thank you. 52 participants is a good number. So I'll give you a brief overview of this session, then I'll introduce myself, and then we'll go ahead. So the session will, as I said, will be a short one, but here's how it will go. We'll, I would request the host to not take host controls from anyone. So basically, anyone can speak at any moment during the presentation because we'll keep it interactive. I'll ask some questions throughout the presentation, not like, hey, you answer something, but just a common discussion kind of questions, right? And if you have any doubts, you can ask them in the middle of the presentation, or at the end we'll have a Q&A as well, so all of your doubts will be answered. Don't worry about if you need any resources from me as well, then you can just ask for them and I'll give them to you. There's no secret sauce, or there's no point of hiding anything. I have kept the presentation in a way where I'll take you through our team's journey, how we went ahead in the competition, and I'll tell you what could be the winning strategy for this year for Indian teams. And both of these will interpolate in the presentation, because that way I feel like you can connect your timeline, your journey with our journey, and then probably get a good idea of what you should do in the competition. Sounds good?
Yes,
Sure. Okay, so let me start by introducing myself. My name is Abhinav, and I'm doing 2 degrees in parallel. I'm doing BTech in CSE from Institute of National Importance, and I'm doing BS from IIT Madras. Apart from this, throughout my college life, I have been involved in community work, be it MLSA, be it GitHub community work, or we have also hosted a lot of sessions in our college and have been to other sessions, college or elsewhere, AWS or otherwise, and of course GDSC sessions. Apart from this, I have participated in multiple hackathons. SIH and Google Solution Challenge were the two highlights, I would say. I have done 4 internships in the past throughout my college life. Right now, I'm in my pre-final semester and my final year. So I'm due to graduate in June 24, and I'll be interning remotely from January of 2024. That's about as much as I can tell about that right now. But if you're at all interested, you can watch any of my personal spaces. I have done multiple good projects and open source contributions, and we'll kind of relate to all of these things as we go through our presentation. So I'll share my screen, and yes, you can raise your hand, and then probably they'll give access. But try to be interactive. Let me share my screen. Okay, so the screen must be visible, right?
yeah,
So because I won't be able to probably see the hands or anything, I would just request the host to uh, keep that in check. So okay, let's start. Again, this is about the Google Solution Challenge, and trust me, as we go through the presentation, I'll try to cover as many points as I can. So this is how, as I said, the presentation, these are the two topics that the presentation will cover. One is our team's journey, so you can probably take lessons from that, and then the winning strategy. But there won't be this will be a loose kind of index, because we will keep jumping from one to another. So before going to all of this, of course, one logical and valid question would be, why should you participate in the hackathon? You must have participated in multiple hackathons in the past, and if you're kind of trying to devote that much time to a hackathon, because it is stretched over a few months, right? It's not a, you go someplace, you are there for 3 days, you code it, your project up, and then you come back. It's not that. You have to devote a stretch of time in a team hackathon. So why Google Solution Challenge and how is it different? So I have kind of basically divided it in three pointers, how it is different from any other hackathon, at least I've been a part of or that I'm aware of. One is the scale. So there are more than 2100 GDSCs in the world. Let's take on an average that a GDSC sends 4.55 teams. They convince 5 teams to participate from their chapter, and then we get to a number which is 10,000 teams. Now, if you want to go into more nitty gritties, let's take an average of 2.53 members per team. I think 4 is the bar. So 3 members per team would make it a competition with a pool of 30,000 people, right? That's one thing, the scale. Other, and this is a point that I have come to realize pretty recently, because we just had our placement session begin, right? So I have given multiple interviews, and one thing that I noticed is not one interview was there where I wasn't asked about Google Solution Challenge in one way or other. I'll tell you what is this one way or other. So one is that you have a fully fledged project in your resume, because you are devoting say 4 months, 5 months to a project. What happens is it tends to become your best or second best project at the very least, and so you will put the project as well in your resume. Of course, the usual practice would be that you be honest, so you only write that this is the project and this was the team that I was part of, or this is the thing that I've done, as you do in team projects. But you can put that resume that in your resume. And second is, of course, you have a accomplishment. If say you are a global rank, top 100 or something, that is a line that you can put in your resume, that say I was global top 100 and 10 among 10,000 teams in a hackathon backed by Google or conducted by Google. So not one interview was there a case that I wasn't asked about either of the two. But either they'll ask about the Google Solution Challenge hackathon, what was the process like, or they asked about the project, right? So it is very good for interviews. And third, and probably not the most exciting, but I can understand in student life, we get excited by money. So the top 10 teams get $1,000 per member, which would by today's exchange rate be, I think, more than 80,000 at least. I have not checked. But so $1,000 per team member. So if you have 4 team members, $4,000 in total, 1,000 each for top 10. Now, if you were to win it, if you were to be in top three, you will get $3,000 per teammate. You can do the math. What 22.5 lakhs, more than 2.5 lakhs. So those are the perks. And then another one important thing is that the demo day, which is the top three team announcement, it is done live on Google's YouTube channel. So that's something, to be a part of a channel which features senior Google engineers, senior people from their fields, experts from their fields, and to garner that much attention on an achievement. That's a very, I would say, that's a very big achievement in itself. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through our timeline, which was the timeline of 2022. And then I'll show you your timeline. So please do not get confused. The first slide will be our timeline, just to basically give you a sense of when we got to know something, and then how we basically reacted. And then I'll be showing you a slide of your timeline, just to explain some of the terms in the language that Google uses, right? So this was our timeline 2022. We, because you guys now, you folks know it a bit early. I think everyone kind of knew about this challenge early December, late November. We as GDSC knew about this last year in the third or second week of Feb. So one important thing that I'd like to share with all of you is, please start as soon as possible. It will, a head start will give you a very very big advantage at the fag end of the tone of the hackathon, and I'll tell you why. So we got to know about this in the third or second week of Feb, and we started as we got to know. We had a team in mind, we had a strategy in mind, we had in mind the kind of ideas that we started to discuss, and we had in mind how we'll go about it. Who like the We had assigned roles, we had assigned a tech stack in our mind, and of course, I'll tell you how to do these things so it gets a bit easier for you. But try to start as early as possible. Again, I'll underline it, and the reason for it is what happens. Okay, so look at this. 17th March was our submission start deadline, like you can submit, and 31st is the end date. So of course no one submits on 17th, right? Because all of us would want those extra days to work on our project, to make more commits, to maybe add more services, more functionalities. And so what happens is, by 30th of March, I remember that so many teams were, trying to pull an all-nighter because they had to ship so many things. And let's say you as a team, let's say you were a part of 2022 hackathon, right? And you made a team, let's say you made it in the second week of March, because you were like, okay, I need everything to be perfect. I've assembled this team, I've assembled this tech stack, we are very clear about the idea, we'll code it up in probably 2 weeks. And yeah, so 2 weeks till 28th or 30th of March, and then we have one day to submit. Okay, so there are two problems in this strategy. One is, a lot of people do not remember the exact date, exact time of when you have to submit, because most of the times the time mentioned is not in GST plus 5:30. It is like not Indian Standard Time, but some other time, because every instruction, every mail is coming from North America. So a lot of times it's their time, and then you are either too hurried because you think the timeline is going to be over, or you are too relaxed because you think you have more time. One of the two things. But that's not even the biggest challenge. I'll tell you, the biggest challenge is on the 31st of March, when you finally go to that link that they've provided, and then you see the form that you have to fill. That's when you will realize that you will take at least 1 or 2 days to fill the form, and you don't have 1 or 2 days, right? And I'll tell you why. The form is 4 pages long, and the form asks lots of theoretical questions. The form asks you to upload a video on YouTube and then put the link in that in the form. And so that's when you realize, okay, the hackath I mean, your project is only as good as the impression that it makes on the judges, right? If you have made the next Twitch or the next YouTube, just an example, but you can't showcase that, then what's the point, right? They may not even go into the code base, they may not even uh, bother to go the extra mile to actually run the project on their local, or to click the link where you have deployed the project to see its merits. So it's very important that you leave those last 3 or 4 buffer days, so that you can, fill good answers, because your answers should mention some things which I'll tell in the later part of the presentation. But also, you'll have to make a video and all of those things. I'll tell you the good practices in those things as well. But start early, again underlining it, and leave some buffer days for the end few days of submission. So our results got released on the 5th of May. On the 28th of and so once the top 100 results starts, you again start working on your project to improve it. On the 28th of May, they told us to fill a Google form, because I think they got to know that some teams need GCP credits for deployment, some teams need something else from Google, say Google Colab Pro or something. So this was a form where they said, okay, what do you need and why do you need? 4th of June was the last day of second phase submission, 22nd of June, top 10 results, and the first week of August was demo day, which is the live event that basically announces the top 3 teams, right? Okay, so this will be your timeline. We'll quickly go through this, and I'll try to basically break down if I find any jargon which may not be self-explanatory. Your registrations are open now. I believe the GDSCs must have floated the form, or they'll float it pretty soon, your local chapter. The kickoff event will be 2 days from now, where I think they'll invite everyone in a G Meet, and then kind of go through the process, and they'll also take their Q&A. Your submissions are opening from the 21st of Jan. So what most of the times that at least I saw in my personal experiences, they extend the submission deadline for 3 days, 4 days, or a week or so. But I would say not to rely on that. Probably you keep in mind the 21st will be the submission date, and if they give 7 extra days, you can always add some new functionalities, right? Apart from that, your submission closes 22nd of Feb. Then they'll begin round one judgment on the 1st of March. You will get the result early April. So, what is this mentorship phase that you see between April to May? Because on the 5th of May, you are going to resubmit the second phase submission, or the top 100 teams resubmit their project. So, what is it between April to May? What is this mentorship phase? So, it's nothing but once you are in top 100, what Google does is they see the tech stack that you're working on, they see what kind of problem your solution is, your project is a solution of, and then they try to assign an expert to you. So you can book some 4 meetings tops with the expert. So 0 to 4 meetings with the mentor or the expert. The expert can be a Google senior engineer, a Google tech lead, or maybe an expert in your tech stack or in your solution theme. And you can take their advice on how you can improve your project so as to make it better, so as to win the hackathon, etc. After that, they'll begin judging for round two from May. The top 10 will be announced late May or early June. And then on the 27th of June, they'll have the demo day where they'll decide the top 3 people. I hope the timeline was clear. Okay, now that we have some context on how the hackathon works and the challenges that you might face, what could be an effective strategy for you? Okay, so a very important thing is that the name of the hackathon is Google Solution Challenge. So, solution of what? You are trying to solve something, right? So, what are you trying to solve? And here's the 17 UN goals for a better world, as they say, to transform our world. And this is the sustainability or sustainable development goals. So, all of them are pretty self explanatory, but let's just go through them. No poverty, zero hunger, good health, sorry, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industry, innovation, and infrastructure, reduced inequalities, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, climate action, life below water, life on land, peace, justice, and strong institutions, partnerships for the goals. So these are the 17 UN goals, and you will have to base your project on one of these themes. You are solving a problem, and the problem that you are solving should be based on at least one of these themes. You can have multiple themes. And so here is the interesting part of at least what I have seen while guiding my juniors, my peers, and people from other colleges as well. The most friction that I have received in my presentation has been on the previous slide, which is the 17 sustainable goals, and I get why. So the friction is it necessary to base our project on one of the sustainability goals? And the reason that they tell me is we already have some personal project or some team project that we want to build the solution on top of, or that we already thought of an idea in April, June, so early, and we've been brainstorming, or that we thought of an idea 2 weeks ago and we've been brainstorming. We do not want to base our idea on something else. And I get it that we as engineers, especially as junior engineers or as college students, we don't pay much heed to the thinkers, to the global think tanks. And of course, we probably write these things off as agenda of, diplomats or suit wearing, blazer wearing people. 17 sustainability goals, who cares? We are engineers, we want to build solutions, and those can be based off of anything. But I'll give you 2 points, probably as at least some of yours I would be senior to, or I would think most of you I'll be senior to. And one thing that I have noticed is that you'll go to a organization like in the corporate world, or you will do something of your own startup, let's say. And in both the cases, you will see that at one point, after one point, let's say in an organization, let's take an example. So the project, after one point, you would want to lead your own teams, you would propose your projects to your senior manager, your engineering manager, and you will say, this is a product that our team needs, I have enough experience and I have worked on this before, let me lead a team of 5 people. And the first question they'll ask is, which is the sustainability problem that your project is solving? Even in a startup, let's say you receive seed funding, let's say you have gotten profitable 3-4 years down the line, then you will start valuing about this sustainability index. All MNCs you see, JP Morgan, Google, any MNC that you see, they value about their sustainability index score. Forget about organizations, forget about firms. If you see any, let's take any decent business person, for example, let's take Warren Buffett, for example, right? And you must have seen those interviews, those famous interviews of Warren Buffett, where he was asked, uh, what would be the first $1 trillion company? And the answer always, or let's say these Zerodha brothers, for example, they all of these people are asked, what do you think would be the first $1 trillion company? And the answer is always a company which is working on one of the sustainability goals, because sustainability is that bigger deal. It's a, and if some guideline is being associated with UN, you will have to think that some deep thought goes behind that. So this is basically, I'm trying to convince you that please base your project on one of these things, because one of these things is important. But then I have one question for you, and the question is it that difficult? Is it that difficult to base a solution off of one of these challenges? And of course the answer that I get in return is, but I've already built something. Or let's say a student once told me, one of my juniors, that but I am doing one startup, right? And I like my idea to get popular view, or to, I would like some eyeballs on my idea, and that's why I was going to be a part of this hackathon. But now that these sustainability challenges and sustainability goals are included, why would I waste my time trying to build something from scratch if I have something of my own? Which is a fair argument, I would say. But the question then I throw at students, at that person, and now at you is it that difficult? And I'll explain this with a personal anecdote, right? So I have this batchmate, and this guy, he has been interested in his startup from, let's say, I don't even remember from how long, from the longest time, let's say, because for however long that I have known him, he's always wanted to do a startup, right? And so yeah, that's that. And but this ghost of startup, it has obsessed him for way before we knew each other, maybe since he was 13, 14. And he has been working on large language models and multi-models, right? And so for way too long. So he's been working in the AI sector before it was popular or before it was cool, because since the last year it has gotten very cool, but he's been working on this since way before that. And so I'll tell you what his startup does, right? So the inception of the startup came to him when he was 14 or 15. He's been working on that and building this since for a very long time. They have gotten seed funding. They've even raised Series A. So they are at a pretty good place right now, right? And they didn't keep any of the sustainability goals in mind when they were building this idea or they were building this startup, right? I'll tell you what the startup does. It's a B2B startup. So it's not open to you or me. It's only for businesses. And what they do is they have these multi-models on their backend, and they have trained them with more than 500 million tokens, more than a billion tokens, stuff like that. And what they are doing is, let's say I'm a business, I'm their client. So I go to them and I'll tell them my problem. Let's say my problem is, even after launching two more features in my mobile application, my revenue has decreased. And so what they'll so provide me with something. I am the CEO. I do not know much of any of my teams, what they are doing, but I want to know the reason why my revenues decreased in the last quarter, in Q3. Why did this happen? And so what these people will do is they'll ask for their database access, they'll ask for their team access, all of those things, and they'll build a custom solution for this client. So a multi-model or a large language model, which has all the information from these databases of the company that they are trying to help, and they'll build a large language model, basically let's say a search bar. And let's say I'm the CFO of the company. So the end product that I will be getting is, I'll type why were quarter profits low even after launching, say, feature X and feature Y. And the model, because it's been trained and custom made for my organization, it will tell me that, okay, here's the reason, here's a few patterns that I see why this may be happening. One is that, let's say your customer acquisition cost has increased due to these reasons. Here's a case study from Harvard why this may be happening, stuff like that, which is a very brilliant idea for startup if you think about it, because all you need is a a basic interaction medium, and you can get these complex solutions custom made, right? And so why did I tell you this story? The reason is, this startup, as I said, was not based off of any of the sustainability challenges. And now I'll ask you a question, or give you a task. Relate this solution or startup with any of these 17 themes. So you may raise your hand and then you will be unmuted. You have to tell that this startup or this idea, let's say it was given to Google Solution Challenge Hackathon, which were the themes that they could put this in. You can either write in chat or you can raise your hand. Abdul says 9. 9 is industry innovation and infrastructure. Brilliant, because they are innovating. They are in a high growth industry. So that makes sense. 9 is good. Ahmed says 9 and 8. Let's say 8. Decent work and economic growth. Of course, you are letting organizations grow. You are helping economic growth. So 8 works as well. Okay, so so we have gotten some new candidates, 3, 11, and 12, and we'll talk about them in 17. We'll talk about all of these, but here's a good moment to pause, because I have done a lot of these sessions, because Google's solution challenge is just around the corner, or it has actually arrived. And these are the two options that I always get first, 8 and 9, which is very valid, right? And this is where I'll try to make a distinction. It's very valid that you are saying 8 and 9, because these are direct themes which relate to the challenge. 8 is direct. Of course, economic growth they are helping in, and decent work they are helping in. 8 makes sense. 9 makes sense because they're in a they're in a growing industry, they're in a booming industry. So, and they are providing innovation. So 8 and 9 are what I call, in my own terms, you may call anything in your terms, direct themes. The reason why I say they're direct is because they're directly related to your problem, or the solution, right? But what happens if you do not have any direct theme? Well, then you look at one of your use cases, and you can relate one of the use cases of your solution to one of these themes. That is what I was getting at. And let's see the answers we have gotten to try to figure out which of these may fit. So a good answer is Abid's 3, option 3. And the option 3 is good health and well-being. Now we can all think of a use case where this solution challenge, although it was built in a completely different setting, but one of the use cases can actually match 3, which is, let's say I'm a client, I have a fitness app, I go to these people, I tell them that I need a personalized model wherein if my client has all their medical history given to the system, and all the past training information is given to the system, can the system tell them what to do next, what kind of nutrients to take, what kind of diets that can take? And this is one use case where my friend's startup is also involved in theme 3, right? Now let's see another solution. Someone is saying 11, Amatullah. 11 is sustainable cities and communities. Again, we can all think of a use case where this is helpful. Let's, on top of my head, smart city. Let's say we have installed kiosks in our cities, and what this kiosk does is I park my car next to it. I tell the kiosk that this is my destination within the city, and I want to in real time find which exit to take. In real time, I have to find which route to take, and then this kiosk tells me. Or I tell the kiosk that this is the amount of petrol that I have, so I may not want the fastest route, but I want a route which is flowing. where I don't have to turn the car off and on again and again. Something like that can be done, right? Number 12 is responsible consumption production. Again, very good. Let's say I'm an iron manufacturer in an industrial in a highly competitive industry, and I want to find out how to get the maximum throughput in the lowest amount of raw materials, and then this can give me a solution. So responsible consumption, tick. You can take it in another way. Let's say you are helping people with addictions, and then that also implies here. So 12 was Muhammad Mudassir, good suggestion. 17 is given by both Saif and uh, Hanan. Sorry. And the 17 number is partnership for the goals. Again, good point raised. So let's say there are two or more organizations, and they are partnering for one of the other 16 sustainable goals. Of course, you may find a common medium where all the organizations are putting in their problem statements, and the language model is giving their solution. Then we have 16. Yes, I'll answer the question as well. And we have 16 before that. Peace, justice, and strong institutions. Of course, it can help in strong institutions. We can all think of some institution which can benefit from this. Let's say the Indian Parliament. Let's say some winter session is going on, or monsoon season is going session is going on, and then a app is provided to the common public where you have to just write what was the summary of today's session, and then it tells you. So of course it helps bridge the gap between the common people and the uh, people that represent us. And so the institution of democracy, or the institution of the parliament, gets stronger. And Roxana has said too also. Again, we can all find some use cases, right, of the startup. But the point of telling this was that you can base your solution on one of these themes, which will be a direct connect basically, and or you can have indirect use case where one of these themes can be solved, right? So Mustafa asks, so does the idea just have to connect or relate to one of these goals? Yes. You just have to present your idea in a way where they think that one of these themes, one of these sustainability goals can be addressed with your idea. That's the whole goal of the Google Solution Challenge. Solution to what? Solution to one of the sustainability goals which can help transform our world. So that's why I asked this question, is it that difficult? And I'm very happy that all of us participated in the exercise and kind of got to the conclusion that it's not that difficult. Now I'll tell you about my personal journey, or I should actually say our personal journey. We were a team of 4 members, and as I said, we started very early, so we had a head start over the other teams. So I'll just tell you our ideation, because again, I do not think there's a secret sauce. If you want to have any of these ideas of your own also, I do not really mind. If you can implement it better than others, then it shows that you were the more deserving person. But again, I'd like to pause here for a moment and give another good practice for you to strategize, and that is that, let's say you absorb all of this information that I've tried to provide. You absorb all of this, and you're like, okay, we'll start today. So I'll give you two good practices that you should follow. One would be called commit, 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 and I'll tell you why as we go through our ideation. So one would be, remember, commit, 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 and the second one would be, please keep a log, keep a Google Doc or a Notion which can be shared among all of your teammates. This is not for Google, this is for you. And I'll tell you why. In all good organizations that you will be a part of, that you'll be working for, or your own team or hackathon or anything, it is a very good practice to keep a logbook, a live logbook, where what you are doing is, let's say you address this problem, as in you say, okay, weekly we have to fill this logbook. So weekly each member has to fill this logbook, wherein they'll tell what all they did and what all they're planning to do next week. Keep a log. There will be weeks where you won't do anything. Let's say a week where your exams are coming or your exams are there, so those 2 weeks you didn't do anything. Just type, I was preparing for exams, and then next week I'm planning to do this, I'm planning to add this feature, I'm planning to add this new landing page. So what this logbook does is it's very helpful when you are trying to, you know, go back to a thought that you came across in the past, go back to a functionality or a requirement that you had thought of. Otherwise, you forget things. And also, this is also good when you are assigning each other tasks. So let's say I've made a landing page for events, uh, for a events functionality, and then I have to make someone has to make a calendar. So it's very easy for you to assign that person who made events the calendar as well, because event will in itself have a component of calendar. So if someone has worked on it before, why not, assign it to that person? Or if someone has very huge amount of workload, then you would want to give it to someone else. But this logbook is a good practice. Google won't ask for it, but just a good practice for your own teammates. So now again, let's go through our ideation. We ideated upon three ideas. One was to do something for optimizing public transportation. In India, urban planning has always been a problem, and we thought to address it by making a design that uses real-time data to optimize public transportation. Our second idea was a platform for promoting financial literacy. So we know that India has been recording record numbers of new demat accounts. So people are going in the stock market, people are going in the mutual funds and SIP market, but people are not as much aware. And so we thought of making a financial literacy platform. But the final solution or the final project that we came across was a LGBTQ plus social media app. The reason was there were multiple reasons, because a lot of these things are circumstantial. One reason, of course, was the day that we were ideating, some distressing news came from somewhere in the country, and we thought, okay, we need to do something about it. Some distressing news of not just hate speech, but violence against the community. And we thought that no such solution, at least no such safe space, uh, is there present in the country at the very least. Of course, you may find some of these social media apps from elsewhere. So we thought that in that sense, we may be unique, and that this has a user base, right? This will have real life impact. This is solving something, right? And so the idea was that there'll be a safe space of like-minded people who can share resources, who can, let's say I'm having some experience and someone has had that experience in the past, they can guide me. If there's some events happening, then I'll get to know stuff like that. This is where we ended upon. But of course, we ideated upon different ideas before ending upon an idea, and which is probably something that I would recommend to you as well. Discuss multiple ideas before landing onto your final one. And the reason why I was telling you about another good practice, which is commit, is because people want to make a GitHub repository or make that first commit when everything is perfect, when you have all assigned your roles, when at least each one of you has, put in the hours to make some landing pages, and then you'll finally be like, okay, now let's make a GitHub repo, and then finally transfer it from our local to our to the GitHub to the public GitHub or the private repository. You can have it private for a while, but you'll have to public it for Google to see, right? I'll say commit right now. So when we made our first commit, which was 22nd of Feb only, the day we made the team and ideated upon these ideas, we made our first commit, and it was, of course, the final product is named Quinn, Quinn. But at that time, of course, we didn't have a name, and we just made the first commit as social media app, and then later changed the name of this repository. The first commit was very simple: Next.js framework, the basic folder structure that Next.js gives. That was our first commit. Why I'm telling you to commit is because, again, the head start that gives you, and of course, then whenever you make any change, you can just commit directly. Another thing that I'll tell you is all the good coding practices, right? You will have multiple, you can have or you are recommended to have multiple branches, and then you can always merge them. Never work on main, as they say. Another will be, please make short commits, do not make very hefty commits. No one in the testing universe likes hefty commits. So if I'm a Google engineer and I'm going through your project, and I see a commit of 10,000 lines of code, I am not going to go through your code. Make what are called functionality commits. Add a function, commit it. So make small commits, but keep making commits. This was the result that we got. uh, the result in both ways. The final result of the website is the two photos that you can see on the left side. I couldn't include much because it takes lots of space. This was our landing page. So if you're logged in, you'll land on this page. If you're not, then it will directly redirect you to the login or sign up window. And then we added a lot of functionalities, one of which, as you can see on the bottom left, is create an event. And the right side, what you see is the email of our result that we have finally made it to top 100. So this is an analysis of our result. And again, I'm telling you about our journey not because I want to flex or I'm a narcissist. I just want you to relate to our journey. The final part of the presentation will, of course, tell you about what you have to do. But in hindsight, it is good for me and my teammates as well to basically reflect on what went right for us and what didn't. We made it to top 100, we couldn't make it to top 10. In top 10, at least the trend that we saw last year was that they took at most one team from each country. So at most one, at least zero, right? We were in top 100, not in top 10. And here's because I have the power of hindsight, I can kind of go through what could have been better. And this is one thing that I would stress as much as possible. These are the three things. One is please use as much Google tech stack as you can. Reason is Google is not a non-profit, it's a for-profit company. And if I'm Google, right? So what I am doing for these three teams or these 10 teams is I'm allowing them to showcase their project to my investors, board members, senior engineers. And why would I want to showcase something which is built on, let's say, something by Facebook? As we all know, React was made in Facebook. And if you are making something based on a technology which was invented by Facebook, why would I, a competitor in a for-profit company, like it? Or you are making a mobile app and you are using React Native. Why would I like it when I have provided you with a solution named Flutter? This makes a difference. We didn't know it. You should please use as much Google tech stack as possible rather than using uh, Next.js or any React frameworks. I would really stress upon this is use Angular, use Flutter Web, something which was developed in Google or used by Google. Other than that, again, this is another important point that I should probably mention in the slide. I will make changes after this session. Be very careful in using your choosing your team members. You are someone's best friend and you know that this person is competent, highly competent, this person has won many hackathons, but if their tech stack is, say, React or React Native, and your tech stack is also non-Google related tech stack, then you would probably be better off choosing someone who may be less competent than this friend of yours, but knows Angular, but knows Google Web if you're making a web app, or knows Flutter. Another thing that we noticed, which is the third point, is development of a mobile app. And this you can yourself do your research. I did mine after the competition was completed. Is that if you see the top three or even the top 10 teams of the past 2 years, you will come to the realization, like, just see and kind of take the ratio of the number of mobile apps that won versus the number of non-mobile apps that won, and the ratio won't be anything because all mobile apps won. So if you have only a web app, a web application, a website, and not a mobile app, Google generally does not prefer that. So if you want to make a website like us, if I were to do it again, I would make a website and a mobile app, which we had done before as well. But again, I'll relate it to that teammate point that I mentioned before. Be careful in choosing your teammate, because we had a very competitive guy, a teammate, and he had worked with React Native but not Flutter. But of course, we did our research and found out that all the Flutter projects are winning. Last year also Flutter projects won. So we told him that, it would be very good if you make it on Flutter. And of course, we thought that this person is very competitive. They can shift easily, but it's not easy. You're changing your tech stack, right? And we couldn't develop a working prototype of our mobile app. The mobile app did offer some features, but not all features of the website. The website was full with features, but the mobile app couldn't replicate that. And so that was another way where these 2 points matter. And then the third thing that I thought we lacked in was the session with the mentor. So Google is providing you with these mentors, and let's say your mentor is a tech lead with 10 years of experience in Google North America. Of course that person has more important things to do and to put in his calendar, or in their calendar I should say rather, than having a meeting with a bunch of 18-year-olds or a bunch of 20-year-olds, right? So they provide you with their calendar link and you will have to choose some dates, but it's very much possible that they do not respond back. So the thing where we lagged, I feel, is that we didn't push hard enough for the session with mentors, and that's what I'll tell you. Push hard enough for your mentor to notice you, to give you time, and it's very much beneficial if you take 2 or 3 sessions, because it works in 2 ways. Tells Google that you are very much passionate and serious about your project. One. Another is you get invaluable insights from someone who has a decade experience over you, at least a decade or multiple decades of experience over you. And so these were the things that we could have improved now that I see our project in hindsight. Now, how can you, anyone in this meeting, win, be in global top three? And I'll tell you before starting with this is one idea why I wanted to do these sessions is because last year in the global top 100, there were, I believe, 17 to 18 teams from India. And I think that India should be disproportionately in this hackathon, right? India is disproportionately, I'm sorry, India is disproportionately popular in the GDSC clubs, right? We have more GDSC clubs than probably any other country, and so we should be more disproportionately involved, represented in the global top 100. And I would really like to see some, like at least more than 25, more than 30 teams should be Indian teams, I believe. Okay, how can you win? How can an Indian team be in the global top three? And I have also divided this in 3 parts, and I will cover 2 parts which I didn't cover before. So briefly touched on before, which was that you have to make a good first impression. Your project is as good as the impression that it makes on the judges. So how can you make that impression? You have worked very hard. You have hustled through the nights, and you have made a very good product. But how to showcase your product? Because this is also where a lot of teams lack. One would be to make a crisp and clear video. Try to involve a personal touch in the video. So how these videos generally go after seeing our own video, making our own video, and seeing our rival teams or our competitors videos. Video is divided in 2 parts. One is that you introduce your team, and other is when you are sharing, yeah, is screen recording your screen to show all the features that your website or your mobile app or both provides, right? What I'll tell is try to involve some personal touch in the when you're introducing yourself, because we as humans connect to humans. We do not connect to websites. So try to involve some personal touch. I would really, really stress upon this, underline this, highlight UN goals in your video. So when you are telling what your product does, what your solution does, try to involve, okay, so our the solution is called Quinn. It is a LGBTQ plus social media app. It is going to provide safe space because it's a taboo topic in India, because there have been hate crimes against this group of people. The UN solution sustainability challenge goals that this solution addresses is reduce inequality, right? Highlight those 2 or 3 challenge goals that you are addressing, because they need to know, right? Other is highlight all the Google products you're using, right? So the 3 Google products that we used, of course, which were Flutter, it was Firebase, the Google database management system, and the third one that we used was Google Perspective API, because one of the functionalities of our website was that there should be no trolling or no hate speech. So we involved this API developed by Google and Perspective API, which in real time checks if the text that you have written or the image that you have uploaded is basically, is it above our standard of threshold of hate speech or below, right? And then if it's below, it will give you a warning. So these were the three Google products, but I'll really recommend use as many Google products as possible. Any functionality that you're trying to add, first search on Google. Is there any Google first search on your search engine? Is there any Google product that gives me this feature, that can give me this feature, and try to use that Google product instead of any other framework or any other language or any other feature API. Showcase your prototype nicely, screen record your mobile app when you're using it, screen record your website when you're using it, try to give a narration over every each and every part of the each and every feature, and tell how it will be useful to your solution. So this is one crisp and clear video. Why am I saying crisp? You are allowed the time limit of 2 minutes, so your video can't exceed 2 minutes. So crisp and clear. In 2 minutes, you will have to showcase all your features. You'll have to give a personal touch, highlight UN goals, highlight Google products, and maybe you can get 10 seconds there and get 10 seconds here. 2 minute 10 seconds is okay. 1 minute 50 seconds is okay. So before making video, just don't guerrilla warfare into making a video. Better is to create first draft, second draft, third draft, a script of what you're going to do, and plan your video. At least give 2 or 3 days or a week to your video, because you've given so much time to your coding, right? You wouldn't want to basically lag behind due to a simple video. Edit it nicely, stuff like that. Other is the form answers matter for the same reason as the video. This will provide your first impression to the judges. So I would say probably give 4 or 5 days or a week in the final part of your submission, for one for the video, another for the form. Of course, in the meantime, you can also do commits and keep adding new features. All of those things don't matter, but it's better to devote some time or brainstorm these two things, the video and the form. In the form, it's very good to check grammar. It doesn't give a good impression on anyone if your grammar is not correct. Align answers again with sustainability goals, and mention the gravity of the problem you're solving. And why I say this is, the people that will be reading your form, they are in the West, right? Or they're in Europe, right? They may be in UK, they may be in North America, US, Canada. The thing is, what may be a huge and apparent problem to you may not be so apparent to them. I'll give you an example. Let's say you are coming from a remote village. You are trying to a village where you do not get water for irrigation, water for drinking, clean water for drinking for all 12 months. And so you have designed a solution which tells the government how to build canals, or how to build dams, so that the rivers and tributaries can go in these canals and then finally come to these remote villages where water is not coming. This is your solution. For those people, it's a far-fetched world where water doesn't come for, say, 6 months. They can't imagine a world where water won't come for 6 months. And if you do not mention the gravity of this problem, they won't know what you're talking about. So tell them that this is the amount of population which is dependent on agrarian products, or dependent on agricultural employment, and this is why this matters. And what are you doing? Maybe there's a tanker mafia which costs very high prices to give you water, and that's why canals are very important. Mention the gravity of the problem you're solving. Third is basic coding advice. Your code should be clean. uh, just can you give me just 1 minute, just a second, sorry.
Uh, say we'll be providing the timeline and other important stuff in the WhatsApp group.
Sorry, actually, I had logged my room and my roommate arrived. Uh, were there any questions? Please provide the timeline. Your GDSC chapters will also provide, and I'll also share the link of my. Kindly remind me to share the link of my PPT at the end, right? We'll have a Q&A. I mean, the slide is completely done only. So basic coding practices, as I was speaking about, have good documentation. So there are many kinds of documentation, as you know. There's README files, there are requirement files. So you freeze all the requirements and dependencies of your project. Then there's, for backend, you have Swagger API, things like that, which tells what each API is doing. kindly document your product nicely, your project nicely. And you can create a test coverage wherein you can have a file where if you run it, it will tell you how many tests are passed, and try to cover everything, try to cover that you have enough tokens for the API to run. So if I am basically trying to run your project on my local, it's better for me to first run the test application to test if everything is fine, if I have all the requirements, if the project is running nicely on my computer, so that it's easy for me to diagnose what the problem is, if there is any problem at all. And better would be like, do these things but try to deploy your product or project in one of these things, because it's better for if I were a judge, it would be much easier for me to go to the URL that you're providing me rather than running it on my local, or on top of running it on my local, because that gives me a sense of, okay, this is deployed as well, right? So maybe some cream points for that as well, right? Some notes of caution, last slide. We have pretty much discussed all of these, but of course, for summary, let's say, so ideate nicely, document your project nicely, tech stack, Google related tech stack, code quality and documentation should be good. Maintain your GitHub repo, have a README file, try to make small commits, but try to commit for throughout the period of time that is available. Video should show your project's strengths, leave enough time for submission, form is very descriptive, push for your mentor, and take suggestions from your audience. So this is one point that was remaining, is that take suggestions from your audience, right? Because the mentor will ask you, or Google, the form will ask you, did you have a use case? What is your use case and what is the feedback you've gotten? So you can say, okay, my solution was for the people of these remote villages. I told them my solution and this was their feedback. Then I worked upon this, and then the people said that, okay, this is nice, or that my product was a fitness app for fitness, uh, for people who care about their fitness. I showed this to 10 gym managers. They gave me this feedback after using the app, that maybe this function was taking a lot of time, and this is what we did to solve that problem, stuff like that, right? So take suggestions from your target audience before submitting it. I think that's pretty much it. So we can have our Q&A now. And also one thing that I have been told to mention by GDSCs is, and this is different from last year, is that this year there is this thing called, uh, I forget what it's called, regional round or something, regional boot camp.
Yes, yes, reasonable.
Regional boot camp. And because I don't have much information about this, then your GDSCs can tell you about this. But I think what basically it means is that before the global top 100, there'll be regional winners as well. That is my idea of it. If I could give one suggestion, final suggestion to you, is try to use AI models in your solution. That will give you an advantage this year, because that technology is booming right now. So yeah, open to questions.
You can raise your hand, we'll give you the answers. Or not, you can type the question in the chat box. Uh,
Since we are new to coding, can we still participate and emerge? Why? I don't see any reason why, and I'll give you a good motivation why you should actually participate. Is the one team that made it to global top 10 from India last year? They were the sophomores from VIT, so they were first year students. Can we use AI in our code? You will have to explain your question. This can mean two things. One is you are asking ChatGPT to write the code for you, and another is that you're using their API in one of the features. Either way, the answer is yes. So you can, of course, debug your code, or if you want to have let's say if you want to have a good prototype of where to begin your code with, or if you're encountering some error and you want to resolve it, of course you can use AI. And I would actually encourage you to use GPT or any other large language model API to kind of integrate your solution with AI, because this time it will be beneficial. Can we implement on pre-existing ideas and make it better? Yes, why not? You can also go solo, right? I mean, the thing is, you can go as a one member team as well if you're a lone wolf. If you like that, you can go with at max 4 people, and it's not even necessary that all 4 people should be from the same college, or that all 4 people should be associated with any GDSC. One person has to be associated with one GDSC, and then you can even make those kinds of teams as well. So if you have friends in some other college, that's also fine. Does using languages like React instead of Angular really that deciding factor? I would say so. From my personal experience, I would say so. Because if you do your own research, right, see top three of the previous two or previous 2 years, and you'll find out all the projects are Flutter. Are there any rules? Well, okay, so there are some rules. One is that you should be you should be solving one of the 17 sustainability goals. Other is to submit on time. Third is that your video shouldn't exceed 2 minutes, but 10 seconds here and there are allowed. Those are the rules. Any other question? I guess I'll stop sharing my screen. You can still ask your questions. What would you recommend beside React? So you can use Flutter for web if you are making a mobile application and you want to replicate something for your web application. Or I'll really recommend Angular otherwise. If you don't know it, it's fine, right? I mean, you will be finally you will be working in an organization which won't use your tech stack, right? Maybe they're using Rust, maybe they're using Go, the company that you work for. And so eventually what they'll expect from you is to learn a new technology anyways, in 1 month or 2 months anyways. You'll be thrown into projects which do not use your technology tech stack. So I would just recommend, have a teammate who knows Angular, and then you can contribute to the code base, because if you know one language, React, you will eventually figure out Angular, right? These languages are not very or frameworks are not very different from each other. Any other question? Are you participating this time? I will not get time. As I said, my 6 month intern will start from January. So I really do not think I will get the time to participate this time. What was the total journey duration after registration in that timeline? And will we learn all stuff in that duration period? Will we learn all stuff in that duration period? What does that mean? I'll tell you the timeline. Uh,
Adding on to this, we will be also conducting Android workshop and AI ML workshop for you guys to learn and then implement your ideas using Google technologies. So you can just be stay connected with GDSC to get those events. Yeah.
That's great. That's amazing. And so, to answer your question of timeline, so registrations have begun in December. You know about this in December, and the final demo day will be on the 27th of June for you. So you have 6 months, and yeah, 6 months you can pretty much learn anything basically. But if you are talking about the first submission, the first submission will close on the 22nd of Feb. So you still have 2 to 3 months. By the way, where are you going to intern in US? What is the name? Again, cannot really say much about it. But if you really, I'll give you some ways to connect with me. Uh, so if you have any other question regarding any other thing other than Google Solution Challenge or Google Solution Challenge, you can uh, tell me. So I'll give you 3 links, right? I remember I have to share this slide with you. I'll give you the working viewable link of the slides. So if I ever add something or upgrade this slide, so you will see the final version. I hope I'm giving the viewable link only. Yes, this, and I would request one of the moderators to kindly pin the slide link. Plus, I'll also give you the 2 socials that I am active currently. So you can interact with any of these two, and I'll take questions. Just a second. Uh, it's this is just a bit of a digression, but we'll go back. And LinkedIn, right? So you can message me on Twitter, you can message me on LinkedIn, or you can use one of the old ways of emailing. I'll give you my email, and so you can email as well. One of these three things will do. So you can copy or take a screenshot, and you can connect later if you have any doubt. And I we have pinned the Canva link, right? Do you use LinkedIn? I have provided. Wait, so you submit the idea in PPT before submission date ends and then submit it on June as final product? No, you basically provide link of where you have deployed your product, and you provide a link of the repository. That's all you provide, no PPTs. I just made this PPT. Actually, another funny story, personal story, is that I made this PPT in 2 hours, and that was only possible because our team had a logbook of what all we did, and it was very easy for me to get the timeline of everything and to copy paste the ideas that we had or all the strategies that we made. And this is also one benefit of having a logbook or documenting. Can we make changes in project before final submission? Of course. So the top 100 submission, after the top 100 submission, you can of course keep making changes. Make as many changes you want. So after making it, you submit it at the submission day. You submit your final repository links and your deployment links before any day before the submission deadline. Which one of those 17 policies do you think, 17 sustainability goals do you think would give us an advantage? All 17. There's no such thing, but I'll tell you this time again, if you're doing anything based on cloud, if you're doing anything uh, based on AI ML, this will really go a long way. And also try to develop a Flutter application. Just by looking at the trends of the last 2 years, you'll realize it's a big edge. Anything else? Uh,
I guess it's done. They
yeah.
can contact you if there are any
Yep.
questions.
Yep. What will be the roadmap? I mean, the presentation will give you a good idea of the roadmap. Can we do faceless video? Is the bandwidth a problem? Like, is your internet a problem? I'll do it. But yeah, I guess you can contact me anytime you like. Because of course, anytime you like, because I'll respond at my discussion. But I do respond fairly quickly. Okay, okay, sorry. Yeah, of course, that makes sense. He means the submission, or they mean the submission video. Yes, you can be faceless, but I'll tell you, like, it really helps if there's a personal touch. But if you do not like that, then why not, right? But I would tell you, personal touch matters. I guess we should end it here. If you have any other questions, I'm very active on Twitter, and I'm fairly active on LinkedIn, and I'm very active on my email. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you to Abdul for inviting me. I hope I was able to provide something of value in the past 1 hour. Thank you. And thank you to the 50 people for joining. Thank you very much.
By the way,
Thank
the highest count was 98. Uh,
Amazing. So either something very interesting was happening in that slide where that happened, or something very boring because people left after that.
Thank you so much for taking time out from your schedule to be a speaker at our event. Your experience added a lot of value, and I'm sure that the insights will be helping a lot of participants.
Thank you. Thank you, Maheen. Thank you. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you, Abhinav, once again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, if you have any more questions, you can ask related to how we are gonna and how we gonna proceed in our college. And we have also created a WhatsApp group so that you can join that and ask the questions. I'll share the link in the chat. If you are not in the group yet, you can join. Any questions you can DM us, you can ask in the group. When will be our college events for AIML? Okay, it will be after Jan. AIML event will be. How many teams will be taken from MJ? See, ऐसा नहीं कि भाई एक टीम्स दो टीम जितने अच्छे टीम्स गए they will take. There is no specific count for teams getting selected. It's totally based upon your idea and solution. Yeah. How should we start? Mm, See, now you get the clarity कि भाई कैसा रहता क्या रहता and everything you got selection. तो अब you start exploring खुद से. You go on the you go to Google and search for the people who have already have got into this, like their demo days available on YouTube. So watch their videos. You will get some idea. Then start brainstorming with your friends. Take any one of the sustainable goals of UN. Then start thinking of a problem, then solution. In this month, hopefully after Christmas, we'll be event on Android, how to build Android apps using Kotlin. So you can attend that event and you can take the knowledge of how to build Android apps, which will be helpful for you to make your project in solutions challenge. Then in January, we'll be having our AIML boot camp, which will be not 1 or 2 days. It will be last for some weeks. Can't reveal all the details now. We are planning, so it will be released soon. Yeah. What about iOS? Yeah, you can build on Flutter so that it will be also will be working on iOS. Flutter is a cross-platform framework now, so it will be working on both iOS and Android. Any more questions? Thank you. And about the regional boot camps, first thing I want to clear is every team member has to register in this solution challenge Google form which we have provided. Everyone has to register there. Then after some time, there will be team forms, like what are the team members. The form will be released after some time. So at that time they'll provide you the form so that you can make a team and fill the form. So after that filling of that form, you will be getting to submit your idea and submit your solution. Yeah, it will be very helpful. We notify on WhatsApp group. Yeah, sure, we will be notified. That's the reason we have made the WhatsApp group, to ease the communication, for the ease of communication. Yeah. Any more questions? Yeah, it's a very good opportunity. Who knows? From MJ, we'll get into top 10, top 100, or maybe top 3. The ideas to have सबके पास, but we need we need to execute. We need to work hard, and